What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to a couple of subscribers for showing love to the channel. Much respect to the brother Aram for showing love once again. Much respect to you showing love with the $10 donation via the PayPal. Much respect to you for showing love to Too Raw for TV, aka Too Raw for Sports. I also want to give a shout out to the brother Darwin for the donation via the Cash App. Much respect to you, Darwin, for donating to the channel. I really truly appreciate it, man. I hope you enjoy the content. So, I didn't know about this. So, shout out to the subscriber that notified me about this. So, Stephen A. Smith was on, I think it's a new podcast started by Cameron. It has Cameron and Mace on it, the rappers. I think it's called It Is What It Is or something like that. And on there, Stephen A. Smith said something that I don't know, man. Like, for a guy that's 50, look, I'm 43, right? So I didn't really start, but before I get into that point, this is what he had to say. He said that when it comes to Jayson Tatum and Larry Bird, he would pick Larry Bird for the last 2 minutes of a game and Jayson Tatum for the first 46 minutes of a game, wherever the hell that's supposed to mean. And, I guess he's trying to insinuate that Bird was a defensive liability, but he was clutch, so I'll have him in the last few minutes. But Jayson Tatum, I guess, is a more complete player. See, it's stupid-ass takes like this, man, that really is the reason why a lot of us don't watch that shit anymore. That's why I don't watch those programs. I don't watch it, man. It's, a part of me should be watching this stuff so I can combat it and look to see what, they're saying that's dumb. But, bro, man, just having a steady diet of that dumb shit, it kills your brain cells, son. It kills your brain cells. But this is the point I was going to make earlier. I'm 43, so I didn't really start watching the NBA until like very, very late 80s, early 90s, like really get into it. Stephen Smith is 55, I think. He'll be 56 this year. This guy should have been watching basketball since at least the mid-70s. So he should have been able to watch the entirety of Larry Bird's career, Magic Johnson's career. We're not talking about longevity here. We're talking about watching these guys play, watching each one of these players play, and seeing who do you think was the best, who was better. I don't care about Tatum more 50-point games and first player to average 30. Nigga, you shoot 12 threes a game. If you shoot 12 threes a game, you're bound to knock down 4 or 5 of those motherfuckers on average. So that's an extra 4 or 5 points a game. When Bird was playing, even at his apex, he was only averaging about 2 threes a game. That's when he was shooting them at his most. Jordan having a season when he was shooting 3 a game. You know what I mean? Bird was only taking 2 at best, maybe 2.5. Maybe 1 year he was shooting 3. He didn't shoot as many threes. So guess what? He's not going to score as many points. But even with that, the year that he averaged 29.9, which is damn near 30, that season was better than Tatum's. Bird was a better scorer. I don't care about scoring average. Bird was a better scorer, a better shooter, a more consistent shooter, a better rebounder, a better facilitator, a better player, a better basketball player, higher basketball IQ, played harder, played smarter. I know that incorporates on the IQ, but played harder, better trash talker, better leader. I mean, I guess I could give Tatum the advantage, maybe in athleticism, but people act like Bird. Look at Luka. I challenge you to look at Larry Bird, especially the first 6 years of his career. Look at Bird the first 6 years of his career, 7 years of his career. Look at his footwork, right? Not saying he was like James Worthy with his first step. I'm not saying that. Look at his footwork on defense and look at it compared to Luka. And look what Luka's doing in this league. I'm just tired of this dumb shit, man. It's enough. It was enough when they were doing it with George Mikan. It's gotten infuriating they're doing it with Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson. Now they're doing it with guys that played in the 80s. And you know what's next? They're going to start doing it with guys that we recently watched. They're doing it with Kobe. They're starting to do it with Ray Allen. They're starting to do it with Reggie Miller. They're starting to do it with these guys that we just fucking watched. Now, guess who they're starting to reinvent as the overrated guy now? Carmelo Anthony, a guy we already watched, a guy that just retired. It's insane. The hell with this this ain't no goddamn clutch shooting Vinnie Johnson last few minutes in the game we insert Vinnie. No, Larry Bird and all, and that's no knock on Vinnie Johnson. Larry Bird is a top 10 all-time player. Jayson Tatum has a lot to do to be in this conversation because I don't care what anybody says. Jayson Tatum isn't even in the conversation yet with the Robert Parishes and the Kevin McHale's, any of those dudes, because he hasn't even won a damn championship yet. Okay? He ain't won shit. And he is inconsistent. Fuck that damn ankle injury. Okay? Bird was walking around with a fucking back that was so out of whack that if he got hit the wrong way, in the wrong area, and he fell the wrong way, he risked permanent injury to the point where he could have had some form of paralysis. Don't compare a fucking sprained ankle and a mild sprained ankle like that to what Bird was enduring the last few years. And yeah, Bird was a defensive liability the last few years when he was wearing a back brace. But let's not get it twisted. Bird was one of the greatest help defenders in the history of the NBA. He was not this terrible defender that people keep reinventing him to be. Now, was he Michael Jordan on defense? Was he Bill Russell? Absolutely not. Let's look at the facts here. Let's look at Larry Bird's resume. Now, I'm not going to say everything. I just want to look at his defensive resume. All right. 3 times Bird was on the all-defensive second team. 1982, 83, and 84. Does that sound like a guy that's a defensive liability? How many blocks per game does LeBron James average in his career? About 0.8? Right? Something around that, right? About 0.8 blocks? How many Larry Bird average? Let's look. Let's just 0.8. 0.8. And had 1 year, 84-85, where he averaged 1.2 blocks. Bird, 1.7 steals. 1.7 steals. Let's compare him to Jayson Tatum. Let's look at Tatum's numbers. .1 steal, 0.7 blocks. So this supposedly more gifted physical specimen averages fewer steals and fewer blocks on average than Bird. And this is not including Tatum's downside of his career. Not including the downside. Not including the downside. Let's look at Bird from 79 to 80 to 88, the prime years. 1.8 steals, 0.8 blocks. 50% shooting from the floor, 38% from downtown, 88% from the charity stripe. Let's look at Jayson Tatum's defensive accolades, since he's so much better defensively. Let's check this out here. None. 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 Not first team, not second team. I don't even know if there's a third team defense. I don't think so. Maybe. He's on none of them. How many MVPs he got? Other than that, selfish fucking point gobbling MVP he got in the All-Star game this past year. How many league MVPs he got? None. While Bird was one of 3 guys, Chamberlain and I think the other one is Russell, to get 3 MVPs in a row. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. This is ridiculous. We're not going to do this. And I'm going to say something else, too. And I'm going to say this again and again and again and again. Larry Bird played in the most competitive, and this cannot be disputed by anyone. I will challenge anyone who says I'm capping on this. I will shut you down on this. Bird competed in the most competitive era in the history of the NBA when it came to small forwards. Period. The most competitive. Let's see if I can get a listing of them. Aside from himself, you had Julius Erving. And by the way, he was going up against some great athletes at that position too. Great athletes. And was holding his own. So this defensive liability shit is getting kind of ridiculous. Julius Erving, slam dunk contest winner. Dominique Wilkins, slam dunk contest winner. James Worthy, one of the quickest, if not the quickest first step of his generation. Gervin sometimes played the small forward position, sometimes the shooting guard position, but he's listed up here. Scottie Pippen. Clyde Drexler sometimes played the small forward position. Adrian Dantley, Alex English, Bernard King, Chris Smalling, Mark Aguirre, David Thompson, Jamal Wilkes, Larry Nance, Kiki Vanderway, Bobby Jones, Detlef Schrempf, Cedric Maxwell, Walter Davis, Marcus Johnson, Chuck Person, Kelly Tripucka, Paul Pressey, Robert Reed, Calvin Nett, Rodney McCray, and Greg Ballard. Those are many. And some other ones that come to mind is sometimes Cliff Robinson sometimes played the small forward position. Cliff Robinson with the Portland Trailblazers. But the point is, and then you have Xavier McDaniel. Sometimes, what's the other one that passed away that played with the Portland Trailblazers? Sometimes he played small forward. Jesus, what is his name? I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, this is the era that Larry Bird played in, and he excelled. Yeah, he had help on his team. But you know what? One thing you didn't see from Larry Bird is that his team would play against a vastly inferior team, like an 8-seed team, and they'd lose to them. If they lost to somebody, it was a team that was great as well. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is stupid. Stephen A. Smith says a lot of dumb shit, man. Jesus. What was Jayson Tatum at last year in the finals?